Howdy gamers, how's it going? Jester back at it again with another dog shit video. And just to start off, I'd like to apologize about my absence, but I think usually with this channel, whenever I took a bit of a break, and I wasn't uploading for a couple of weeks, a lot of times that was just because I was like busy with real life stuff, or maybe I just couldn't be fucked to upload for YouTube. But these last couple of weeks, I've actually spent an incredibly large amount of my time working on how I think I can improve what I do here on YouTube. So this is what I'm going to probably call some sort of a step towards that. And I'm going to go a lot into detail today about what I plan on doing and what I've learned throughout this, almost like the soul searching I have really done these last couple of weeks. So, I think when I first started on YouTube and the Funny Mike videos did well, I had no care in the world for improving what I do. And that kind of has a pretty negative connotation, and I don't exactly mean it by that. I really enjoyed what I did, but I think over a while I kind of realized and asked for advice from people that I trust would give me an honest answer, and for my own opinion and theirs, it seemed pretty mutually agreed that I don't think I'm ever going to make it on YouTube if I just keep kind of doing what I did. So I really started more and more trying to improve it. And at first what I was kind of doing was swinging at the wind. That's kind of my style as a person, that whenever I go through particular struggles or I really want to improve myself on something, I don't exactly take this very analytical approach to doing it. Oftentimes I just start like fucking going, just and I don't know why. It's just kind of a big part of me, but it really, I think, showed a pretty large weakness, because I don't really think I could have done this in this situation, and it led me feeling pretty depressed. Like, the depressive rant video, a lot of that was brought on by the fact that I started thinking that maybe who I am as a person would be unable to actually make it. Just maybe it's my fault as a person, but I think that's a really weak, shitty mindset. And I think even towards that stream and really looking onto it, I really figured out that no, I definitely can, but I need to almost rewire myself as a person, in the sense that I need to learn how to learn. Not learn how to improve my editing, not learn how to improve the quality exactly, but I need to learn how to learn things. Like, I don't really know how to go about using my resources to increase the production quality of what I make, and I just kind of start doing stuff, and I need to really try to be better controlled about that. So what I did is I really started looking at what other people made. And I turned a lot of that energy I had to really wanting to improve what I do into a far more practical and analytical thing, and I pretty much made it so that way I would watch YouTube a lot, and that's pretty awesome. I enjoy doing that a lot, but I started really picking apart every single video I watched, especially ones that meant a lot to me, which almost soured them, because you really just want to sit there and enjoy them, but when you try to analyze every single little piece of a YouTube video, it kind of shits on them for you. But that's what I started doing, and I definitely didn't think that mine was above theirs, but I almost started looking at most videos I watch as kind of ass. And I'm like, oh, these are all the things I don't like, and I realized that I am very much so fueled by pessimism. I tended to focus far too much on videos I disliked and what not to do, and less on what to do, so I kind of had to shift my attitude there, and I started picking creators that I know I look up incredibly highly to. I kind of just want to go into detail on some of those some of those people were, and kind of what I really enjoyed that they did. The first one I've written down is Vsauce. Some people might be like, really? But I have pretty awesome reasons, at least, to why I like them. A big one is that Vsauce, he always had this incredibly wonderful delivery and almost minimal style to making a video, yet carried such a significant amount of knowledge through it. He made such amazing content that delivered knowledge at such a fast pace, yet never felt overwhelming, which is extremely hard to do. And so I think his pacing was something I really started looking at, and I'm like, I'm not sure if my style will ever get to that point, but the way he is able to deliver so effectively so much content, like I thought was absolutely amazing. Someone else I've written down is Brutal Moose. Brutal Moose, I think, is just someone I started looking up to because he really expressed himself through editing. Now, I don't really think I'm ever going to do this, but it's something I definitely need to improve on, is how I edit. And in a way, something I've kind of leaned on doing, and you might start noticing in this video if I start doing it, is that I kind of want to have effective visual aids for important parts of what I'm talking, and then what's least important, I can just cut back to me talking to the camera. And that's something that I really liked a lot of people did, and I looked at a lot from Vsauce. But going back to Brutal Moose, he would just delivered such a large amount of entertainment through his editing, and I looked really highly up to that. And someone also is Down the Rabbit Hole. Down the Rabbit Hole is kind of among quite a few people I enjoy, and he is just someone that I respect the fact that he is making content that is almost takes what was so amazing about documentaries that had to be produced by large companies and doing it as a single person, yet it's even higher quality than a lot of the documentaries anyone has ever seen. And I really looked up to that I just, as a single person now with technology, you are so incredibly powerful that if you really have the dedication and know-how, you can really produce something better than what used to and still today can take teams of dozens of people or sometimes even more. And I'd like to give a couple of honorable mentions. I'm not going to go quite as in depth, but some other people I looked up to quite a bit are Tom Scott, Rendy, Michael Reeves, and a lot of others I forgot to write down. Most of the ones I forgot to write down that mean a lot to me personally are a lot of old school RuneScape and tech channels. So I watch a lot of old school RuneScape and I watch a lot of tech stuff, usually in the world of programming, and even more recently a lot of Linux involved stuff. It's like watching it, it's very fun. I enjoy those communities a lot. But kind of getting to the two that mean more than anything else to me. And I don't mean to keep being a crybaby bitch about this, but the first one I'd like to mention is Reckful. So Reckful, I understand he doesn't make YouTube videos, other than like stuff that he used to make for whenever he got incredibly high rated in Arena. But I'm just talking about how effective he is at getting me motivated, and he makes me very aware of my mortality, might be the best way to put it. Because a lot of the times I open Twitch, and whenever I open Twitch, it defaults to my homepage of my own stream. One of the people I would have automatically hosting was Reckful, and because they're running 24/7 reruns of his VODs, I would find myself every time I'm opening Twitch without really thinking to go watch his stream. I would just kind of sit there and watch him for a little bit, and then hours would pass, and I would really think about God damn it. I would really think about the amazing impact he had on my life, and how much he meant to me, and how much I hope to one day make as big as an impact, even in part, to someone else. You know, it really, a lot of the times, whether it was working on this video or really trying to get my head wrapped around on how I want to improve on YouTube, it did such an amazing job in motivating me, because a lot of times when I'd open up Twitch, I'd be laying on my bed, or I'd be just on my computer fucking off, and then I would open Twitch to watch It's Will. Usually I love It's Will. And but I would go and I just end up watching Reckful for a little bit, and after a while I'd kind of realize, like, wow, I have such amazing memories watching this stream, and it was such a big part of my life that, like, I should go fucking do something right now. Like, what the fuck am I doing just sitting here watching Twitch? Like, I need to go actually work towards making something I really care about. And even though it didn't have this direct thing of helping me out with how I could improve, it definitely motivated me. And I'd also like to mention one more person, and that's Settled. Settled is the creator on YouTube that I look up to by far the most. This is an old school RuneScape YouTuber. I think whenever you would hear something like that, you're like, oh, this guy does progress updates, which is kind of where people give you little updates on their account, or like they make highlights of them killing other players and stuff like that. But he is someone that has managed to make quite literally my favorite series on YouTube. My favorite videos on YouTube are something called Swampletics, and it's just insane. It is the sole reason I got back into playing old school RuneScape, and a big reason why I love that fucking game and the community so much. And his personality, his dedication to doing what he does, even through tough moments in his life, and his editing, and just like the passion I can see in a person through content is absurd with him. Like, I just, it's hard to explain how intense a video like that has been able to make me feel. And it's about like it's about like an early 2000s pixel game. Like, holy shit. Like, almost, that is the videos that I look forward to the most. I love him so much, and just every single part of his videos I think are done to such a masterfully high level. And I just, in a way, like I talked about in Wreckful, like I hope that like I can make videos that have a similar impact his has had to me, but make those for other people myself. And I kind of like, and now that I've kind of mentioned a lot of those people, and hopefully on screen I put up a lot of other similar channels that also had a big impact I didn't say verbally. I kind of also have a lot of stuff written down about why I love what they make so much, and kind of like the least common denominators among what they make. Which, a big one is that they are all genuine. Like, I think there is a massive personality that is shown through every person that I mentioned, and you can really see the love for what they make, and I look up to that a lot. Something that also I want to try to do better is that they are very personable, yet whenever they look at the camera, they are very relatable. They are very much so themselves. Like, when you watch their videos, you don't feel like they have this artificial mask put on and they're playing a character. Like, they're really themselves. They're doing that thing. And like, that seems kind of obvious, but when you look at so much stuff on YouTube, very few people are doing that now. And I think there is a massive need for stuff like that, and also the only thing I would have interest in doing. Sometimes, though, that falls into the problem that whenever you're very much so yourself to a camera, it comes hand in hand with being very amateurish. And I don't think those people do that at all. Like, even though they're very much so themselves, they still have this very, like, I look at their videos and I'm like, wow, this is really well done. And that's kind of a hard balancing rope to go on. Whereas on one side, you can put on this high production and very well scripted and stuff, and really, really well done. And then on the other side, it's this very amateurish, personal video someone makes. And they kind of walk a tightrope in between those two things, where they don't lose sight of themselves and what they love, and I really envy that. And I'm not saying I lack that myself, but I'm definitely still way over on the side of amateurish. So another big theme over what they do is that they are able to, they have an infinite amount of content that yet remains fresh all of the time. So a big reason I didn't like commentary a lot was because I feel like when you were talking about stuff daily, as a person, we don't have a whole lot we're interested in, right? As people, we tend to be very opinionated. And what that means is that you are going to often talk about the same thing very similarly many times. And this is something I've criticized before about other creators because I'm a piece of shit. I think everyone I've mentioned, it's not an issue. Like, it's just not an issue they have. Because they have this slower pacing to what they upload with higher production, yet I still think at a very healthy pace. I just think those higher effort videos really do a great job at still allowing you to talk about stuff you enjoy a lot without really burning yourself out or running the topic dry. And kind of something I mentioned was settled is a lot of these people are able to make videos that have an enormous impact on myself and other people, and I can really feel like how emotionally impacted I am by a series of bytes sent over my computer to produce an image and sound. And that's incredible. And sometimes I'll feel how emotionally invested I am in a video I'm watching, to the point where I'm nearly crying, because I think it really showed me how beautiful like content creation can be, and how enormous of an impact you can have on other people. I need to stop saying this, but because you're getting the fucking point. But I really want to have that impact on other people. And the thing I'm going to start making steps. I'm not naive enough to think that I'm immediately off the bat going to produce stuff even remotely close to what a lot of these people I mentioned make. But I've also followed every origin story. I've looked at where they started, what they originally did, and when they first made stuff, oftentimes it was kind of fucking dog shit. like like relative to what they make now, it's not great. It's not good. Obviously, it was enough to slowly build up a following, but most of the time they made shit. It just wasn't great. But they kind of found a formula at some point, or a style that they worked upon and really tried to master. And that's kind of what I really want to start doing, is really every video. I used to say I want every video to be better than the last, and then I ended up stagnating. I really want every video I make to be significantly better than the last. I want to really start pushing myself on increasing what I make, and I'm going to very aggressively start working on that. I'm going to slow down how often I upload and focus more on increasing the quality of what I make. And like I said, with mentioning origin stories, is that I kind of looked a lot into what people did to become successful, because I found a lot of parallels originally with people making it well on YouTube and people making it well and just in other careers, and specifically stand-up. Stand-up, like I've mentioned previously, was a really massive part of my life. I, to this day, spend a lot of time just listening to stand-up. I really love that field of entertainment, and it's really what originally spawned my love for this kind of stuff. I'm partway into recording and I've got to take a shit, and I'm debating going and taking a shit now or holding it and keeping my train of thought going. Moving on. But when people tried to find success, I was able to kind of knock it down into 3 categories of family, wealth, or fame. And I also tried to look at how people found success in those things, which all 3 of those have an incredibly large amount of parallels with each other. They're very, very similar. But I kind of realized, okay, what I'm going for here is fame. I'm not trying to become some high-level engineer in a field, or some sort of investor. I don't have children or a wife. You know, what I'm going for here is fame. And I understand that can be a very egotistical goal, and something like family, like I mentioned, is honestly probably the most important and underappreciated one of those, sadly. But moving on, though, with success, I started watching a lot of documentaries and reading a lot of wiki pages and autobiographies, and people talking about how they were able to find success. And while this wasn't incredibly well known for YouTubers, a lot of times you just kind of had to watch their old videos and see what they did. It was incredibly well documented for traditional celebrities, and one I looked into a lot, kind of like I mentioned, was stand-up comedians. And I'm about to shit my pants. God damn it. Man, I just ate imitation crab and Salisbury steak for dinner, man. I think it's starting to fight back. Holy shit. I don't know if you can hear my stomach or not. This is rough. But, you know, like I was saying, this is far more documented for traditional celebrities, and I looked quite a bit into stand-up comedians. And kind of as I was doing that, I think very, 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 very important happened. And this is almost something that made me believe in a god. Because of how fortunate timing this was. But I was listening to one of Bill Burr's podcasts, and I heard this.
I think a lot of women don't understand what it takes to be successful. What it takes is sacrifice. And in your 20s, you have to work your fucking ass off. That's what I did for 5 years. My first 5 years in this fucking business, I had no girlfriend. I had no social life. I had nothing.
And after I heard that, I think a lot of things started to click. A lot of things just started to make sense. A lot of this, what I was working on, this massive, absolute mess of a Google Doc on how to get my life together and really improve what I do here, which is what I care about by far the most in my life right now. When I heard that, like, it's just the thing I needed to hear to connect all of the puzzle pieces together. And that's kind of when I started latching onto the word sacrifice. And I found that no matter what, when people found success, it was often rooted in sacrifice. That they gave up a lot of what they cared about around that for the thing they cared about the most. Whether that was for family, whether that was to get rich, whether that was to have some sort of fame. Every single story I could find, it seemed to be rooted in sacrifice. And just after that, everything started leading back to it. I found that I'd be able to find the most success if I could really funnel a lot of my passion, sacrifice all of my passion just for this. I sacrificed, watching stuff like YouTube videos online just to study and tear them apart to learn more, which is a massive part of my life. Ever since I've been a kid, the thing that has probably meant the most to me and what I needed to escape was just like watching YouTube videos. And I took that away from myself to learn from them. You know, yeah, a big part, like I had to sacrifice my dignity. The hardest I have cried recently was watching Settled's most recent video. This is about fucking RuneScape. Why was I crying? It's, it's because I said I had to really sacrifice a lot of my pride to realize, like, wow, this guy does such an insanely good job at what he does that it's made me feel so incredibly good that it helped me find motivation in what I was doing. You know, I'd sacrifice my time digging through YouTube, digging through Wiki, digging through these autobiographies. And even kind of like Bill Burr mentioned in that clip I played, I had to sacrifice all of my social life. I've kind of butted heads with my friends recently, and I really apologize about that. I really do feel awful. I need to talk to them about that pretty bad. But about 7 months ago, when my YouTube video started popping off and I spent a lot of time doing this stuff, I just stopped talking to my friends. Like, it's just, I never had a lot of friends, but I always had a couple, and they meant a lot to me and still do mean an incredible amount to me. And I really just up and abandoned them. You know, I think they'll do fine. I think they're doing fine, and I wish them the best in their life. But I'm not trying to hide behind the fact that kind of one day I stopped really talking to them near as much as I used to. I still answer their DMs, but every day I used to come in and we'd talk in the chat, whether that was TeamSpeak 3 or Skype or Discord. We'd talk every single day, and my entire life, that was my social group, was just these people online. I never really had many friends in person, sometimes zero, most of my life actually zero. And I gave that up just because I knew if I half-assed this YouTube thing, there's no way I can die happy. But at the end, you know, is kind of tough as those things are for me, it's worth it. Like, those things, as shitty as it sounds, those things to me sound insignificant. Like, they meant a lot, but relative to how much this dream means to me and actually doing well, they pale in comparison. I can take those sacrifices I mentioned and still not second guess myself too much because I know it's for what I really care about. I need to follow through with my purpose, and I've really found it here, and I'm going to try pretty hard. I understand this video isn't going to be the best, but I'm really going to work hard towards making this stuff better, and hopefully expect a lot of improvement soon. I'd like to leave with a quote. Life's too quick to try to do something that isn't really your initial instinct. If you're trying to be someone else, you're fighting against that constantly. That's said by Unknown. So, yeah, peace, gamers. And I appreciate you watching, and hopefully you can expect a lot of really amazing stuff soon.